What is going on, grinders? It's Chief. We are in the building. I don't know if you guys know this. It's a TWT Sunday. Tim, Will, TJ, we made it back. We haven't done this. Feels like in a couple months, a TWT Sunday, but glad to see Tim. Haven't seen Tim in a while. I've seen TJ a couple of times over the past weeks. That tells me football season must be looming. I think we'll be connecting a little bit as we get close here. Tim, good to see you, my brother. How's everything going?
It's going pretty well. Had a decent last night in baseball. Yeah, it was definitely a good, great spot for the Padres, and the Braves got there for me as well.
Good. That's fantastic. I had a pretty good day on Thursday, this past week, and I got really close again, over the weekend. But Thursday, Tim, I mean, I was like, third, fourth, 10th, and like, a whole bunch of contests with, so not quite first, but definitely it was, over 10x payout. I couldn't complain with that. TJ, over to you, sir. It's Sunday. How's everything up in the great country of Canada?
Doing very well here. We got some beautiful weather here in Saskatoon right now, and it's been a good week for me as well. Less so in DFS for MLB, but the Spidey bombs have been red hot, and so been doing really well with the home run bets, and then had a good night of MMA DFS last night as well. So we're cooking. It's nice out. Life is good. Happy to be here with my friends, and like you said, the OG TWT weekend definitely made me think like, damn, it's almost football season. We're here, guys. We're here.
Yeah, we are getting close. And look, folks, not only is it TWT getting close to football, do you want to use the tools? Do you want to use the resources? Just hop on in RG Premium. You'll get ahead of the competition with RG Premium. We've got an option for whatever level you're looking for. Get yourself a 6-month combo for subscription at an exclusive price of $469.99. That is a savings of $250, folks, instead of buying those 6 individual months of combo premium. If you're not a fan of the commitment, obviously you can get a month of RG combo for $120. And those that want to test it out before dipping their toes in the water, you can get a 3-day pass for $19.99. So just check the links in the description for more info. We've got SimLabs in the mobile app now, right? So that's our expert DFS lineup generation tool from RG and Fantasy Labs. It's known as SimLabs, and it just got better because of that app. In addition to the desktop on the web, you can download the SimLabs app on your mobile phone. Use the power of DFS simulations in the palm of your hand. Available to combo and single sport subs, or you can buy it a la carte in the App Store. Please check that out. And last but not least, this one's a good one, and this was very much applicable to me. We've got the DK Pick 6 Firefox extension. And so, if you missed it, RG Premium subscribers can now use the RG DraftKings Pick 6 browser extension on Firefox to have our premium props and pick'em projections overlaid on your screen. I use it for Prize Picks and Underdog also. And you can quickly and easily find the lines with the best value and make expert picks all in one place. Download Firefox today. Guess what, folks? We've got the particulars out of the way. It's time to hop into this slate. Tim, let's talk through pitching because, I know we typically start there, and pitching typically is an important place to start. I feel like we have some options today. I don't think anyone is, far and away, let's call it, the best pitcher on the slate, unless you're kind of looking at, in my opinion, maybe a Framber Valdez or a Schroeder or something like that, who I feel like they have really, stable pitch counts, typically going to go 6 innings. Everybody else may have a few question marks, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't play them. Tim, what are you thinking at pitcher today?
Yeah, I do agree that the top end pitching there's not huge separation amongst that group. I would say that Framber Valdez is my favorite by quite a bit. He's definitely going to be my SP1 in single entry and in cash games. So I think Valdez is the easy one if you want to if you want to play the chalk SP1. And then projections would tell you Shota Imanaga would be your SP2, which I have absolutely no issue with. especially for cash games. But I think that there's some tremendous options right around the same price point and even lower that can certainly outscore both of these guys in GPP. But I mean, Imanaga and Valdez, they're my cash game guys. Valdez is definitely going to be in my single entry team. But I think you could easily go down to like a Merrill Kelly, a Sonny Gray, and then I do like two kind of cheaper end DK SP2s. One would be Tyler Molly, and the other one would be Bowden Francis at 6,300. I like those two guys quite a bit. So I mean, there's some really solid pitching like all over that 9K range, and then those two cheap DK pitchers I like quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely agree. I mean, I think either of those guys, Bowden or Male, and Male is typically someone I've had strong dislike for over the course of the years, Tim, because I feel like every time I play him, he gets destroyed. I don't play him, even though he's chalk, and he goes off for 50 fantasy points. 50 is an exaggeration, but you get my point. He's just a guy, one of those pitchers I don't seem to get right. But I do agree on Bowden. I think he's a really good tournament play. And Molly also in the cheap range. TJ, over to you. Any different thoughts? Anybody else you want to bring into the forefront?
Basically the same set of guys. I'm like, you know me, I always pick kind of one of the expensive chalky pitchers to fade, and so I'm not playing Imanaga today in my 150 max. He's not that expensive. He's very reachable, and so I think in cash it is personally like a Valdez Imanaga pairing, but I am going without him in tournaments. Toronto just doesn't strike out very much. Even though that wind is blowing crazily in, I would rather go to the cheap guy in that spot, Bowden Francis, as opposed to Shota Imanaga. So, I mean, people in chat are talking about Francis that he's going to be like 20% owned. He's projected for 11. So we're not projecting 20% ownership for Francis. The only pitchers over 20% today are Imanaga and Valdez. We have him projected for 11% right now, but I have 70% Valdez, 40% Molly and Bowden Francis, 30% Merrill Kelly, my favorite pivot, just straight up off of Imanaga today. Big strikeout rate for that Tampa Bay team. And then the other cheap pitcher I'm mixing in just a little bit. Milwaukee will strike out. He's shown some upside sometimes. I got a little bit of Ben Lively in there too.
Okay, let me ask you this on Imanaga. This is outside of the weather for me, TJ. So I feel like Imanaga is more of a weather play for the field.
Yeah.
For me, it actually is more of a strikeout play today. It's kind of like what I did on Thursday when the Detroit lineup came out, and it was god-awful compared to their bad lineup they typically roll out. I think there's some strikeouts here for Imanaga today as the top of their lineup is better, but as we get to the bottom lower half, and I know some of these guys have limited plate appearances, so I'm not trying to overstate it, but I do think there's some extra strikeouts at the bottom of this order. Just want to get your take on that before we move through.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, especially with those lefties at the bottom in the game there with Loperfido, with Barger, definitely makes the matchup a little bit better. But I just kind of made the decision before the show, before fully seeing the lineup. And when you're producing, screen sharing, and on the show, it's a little too late to adjust, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, all good. Listen, I was just wondering. I'm here to help guide the show, so no big deal. Let's talk through stacks, if we will. And we'll get into some, singular bats. But in terms of stacks, Tim, how are you feeling about this slate overall? I think there are some spots, right, like where we can attack some guys, and some of them may even be in the same game. But where are you at for stacks today? I've got a couple that I like. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so I don't know if Ross going to be updating anything to do with this Philadelphia game, but the Phillies are my favorite raw point stack on the slate. Love guys like Schwarber, guys like Trey Turner. I love the Phillies. The Phillies for me are my top overall stack, but I'm just a little bit sketched out by the weather. So I don't know if we're going to get any more updates, but either way, they should be in your GPP portfolio, just because I think they're in a really great spot. Same thing, I think, with the Royals against Andrew Abbott. I love that team quite a bit. And then I think we've got to discuss the Astros. We have no Jordan in the lineup, but other than Altuve, this lineup is ridiculously cheap, and they may be facing like the worst pitcher on the slate. So I think that the Astros are going to be like all over. You should have a couple Astros definitely in your cash games. I'm a little bit worried that their ownership's going to get steamed in GPP, but I think they're in a really great spot, and they are dirt cheap. So definitely interested to hear what TJ has to say in his GPP portfolio about Houston, because I think they're an important team to discuss.
Well, TJ, Tim wants to hear some thoughts on Houston. Let's talk about it. Let's start there, and then we'll expand out. Houston facing Kai Busch, obviously, without a lot of their bigger players, like Bregman's been out already just because of his injury, and no Alvarez today. Tim, I think you make a great point, which the whole field, obviously, or the whole industry knows. Like, Houston's overall salary today is much lower than usual as a result of that. You got certain guys that usually probably bat in the 4 to 7 hole, batting further up today. I'm going to shut up. TJ, Houston, what are your thoughts?
So first things first, we have over 50 likes. So Spidey Bomb number 1. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. He came through for us yesterday. The odds are still great. Gunnar Henderson plus 475. Spidey Bomb number 1. We are only 17 likes away from the second one, and it may or may not be on the Houston Astros. So smash that like button for another Spidey Bomb. I'll drop them every 25 likes all the way through the end of the show. I do really like Houston. Like Tim said, I find myself, since I'm not playing a lot of Imanaga, I don't really need those cheap price tags a ton. So the fact that there's like no Alvarez, I'm actually getting to them less than I was before, just because I'm able to spend up. But I still do have a decent amount of Houston. They are my 5th highest owned stack. I have a tier 1, 6th highest owned stack. I have a tier 1 of basically 5 teams, and I really like all of them. They'd be who I'd focus on for 3 entry max. They're who I'd choose from for single entry, and they're my highest owned group for MME as well. It's Seattle, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Cleveland, Kansas City. Now, if you're playing on FanDuel, you, of course, can throw in San Diego in there as well. I really love Kansas City, Cleveland, and Baltimore for tournaments today. Philly and Seattle, I think, are going to pick up a little more ownership, but and I mean Kansas City is too. But Cleveland, Kansas City, and Baltimore are probably my 3 favorites, and then I would throw in Boston in there as well as my next favorite of the group, just because the front half of that lineup is just incredible against righties.
Yeah, for sure. I took a couple hits plus runs plus RBI stuff today, and some total bases stuff out of that game. So love the Boston and Baltimore game. 2 Bs. I was trying to separate them in my mind. I was about to call it Boston. I don't know what I was about to say, but separate it. Boston, Baltimore, like both sides of that game. Also, I think there's some really good stacks out there today. So we're going to start going around the horn here. We're going to go position by position. Let's start at catcher, because I do think we have a few today. You have to spin up on some of them if you want to get to them, but there are a couple today, and one is for sure in that Boston-Baltimore game. Tim, catcher, what do you like today?
There's actually quite a few catchers that I like today, which is a little bit odd. Definitely, if you want to spend up, I would go with Sal Perez or Cal Raleigh or Yanier Diaz. I like all 3 of those guys. They're pretty expensive, but I think they're all in fantastic matchups. I think if you're looking for like a more quote unquote optimal play or cash game play, it would be Freddie Fermin or Calvert Ruiz, both at 3-3 and 3-2 respectively. So I mean, I think this is not a position only in stacks today. I think you can play some of these guys as one-offs. Obviously, yeah. So I think it's a pretty strong position. I think overall, Yanier Diaz is my favorite.
Also happens to be Spidey Bomb number 2, Yainer Diaz, plus 575 today. Love him to hit a home run. I like him at the catcher position as well on the same spot. Sorry, didn't mean to break your transition, Will, but it was just so perfect with the last mention of Yainer Diaz. With him being the Spidey Bomb, had to get there. He's actually my second highest owned guy behind Salvador Perez. Got a ton of him today with Cal Raleigh as well. Those are the 3 that I'm getting to a ton outside of stacks. I like Bo Naylor if I need somebody cheap. Everybody else is basically going to be an only in stack guy for me. But you got Ruiz, you got Rutschman, you got Ryan Jeffers batting cleanup today. Really, really good spot for catchers.
All right. Sounds good, my brother. We're already there. TJ, let's carry it over to first base. Plenty of those guys also. Who do we like?
One of the benefit of spending down at pitcher so much is I get to spend up with my bats, and so Shohei Ohtani is my highest owned guy at this position. Salvador Perez is number 2, but obviously that's going to split between there and the catcher position. Josh Naylor, absolutely love hitting, I believe, cleanup today for Cleveland. I think Cleveland is in a really good spot against Ray, especially those lefties. I think they're sneaky, and I like them a lot today. Luke Raley is in a nice spot, and Tristan Cassis is another guy as well I like as a low-owned spend-up.
All right. Sounds good there. And I do like the Cassis call. He's batting third in that game, and so it should be a real interesting day out in Baltimore. I like that game quite a bit. Tim, over to you. My glasses just fell. Sorry about that. I like the Baltimore game. I love Casas today. I know for sure that you like the Houston game. Talk to us. What are we doing at first base?
Yeah, I absolutely love that Josh Naylor call by TJ. I think it's a really great play as part of a stack or just a one-off. Cassis is completely fine at 4.8. I agree. I do like that game quite a bit. I also like Hamir Candelario also at 4,200 against Singer. I don't mind that as like a one-off play. I'm playing Zach DiZenzo at 2.7 batting 6th for Houston as part of my Houston stack and single entry. I'm punting the position, but if you wanted to pay up for any of those guys that we mentioned, I think that's completely fine.
All right. Sounds good. Tim, we're going to keep it with you. Let's go to second base, which is typically what I call our most yucky position on a general sense. We have a couple options today, but I still don't think it's our strongest position. Tim, second base, how do we want to handle it?
I bet we got a cheap Houston player in Tim's lineup here.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely going back to Shea Whitcomb at min price, and now he's also in the FanDuel pool, so that makes life easier over there as well. He's 2.3 on FanDuel, 2K on DK, so definitely have no issue. He's batting 5th now. He's definitely going back in my lineup after his solid outing last night. So yeah, I love Whitcomb, but also. Got to talk about Bryson Stott, 3,700. That's way too cheap batting 5th for the Phillies. So if you feel comfortable with the weather in that game, he should have quite a few opportunities to drive in runs with that lineup spot. So I do love Bryson Stott quite a bit. I think, and then of course, we've got Jackson Holiday at 3.6. And then I think, adding Altuve into your Houston stack, like, a lot of people are going to be playing the cheap guys. I mean, it says that he's going to be 15% owned. I'm not sure if he gets that high, to be honest with you. So I think a lot of people are going to go with that cheap part of that Houston stack. So like going Altuve at second and Whitcomb at short, I think may be a little bit different way of stacking Houston.
Okay. I love that. Once again, because they're so cheap, it really, I feel like anything you do different, Tim, in your Houston stacks, like in terms of lineup order placement, is probably going to be different enough if they get to be too high owned. Like if you just kind of, have like an odd, 1, 2, 8, 5 or something, like that's probably the way to win with Houston today, rather than, the traditional 1, 2, 3, 4, or even a wraparound 9, 1, 2, 3 is probably still going to be okay. You get what I'm saying? Just doing something different. So Love that.
I just think you have to get different with pitching if you want to do the cheap Houston stuff. I think you can't just go Imanaga and Valdez. Then you're just playing a cash game lineup. So
Right.
I think if you want to get out, you need to get off the board with pitching if you want to stack these cheap Houston hitters.
Yep. Agreed. TJ, over to you. Second base. Any extra thoughts?
Michael Garcia is and Bryson Stott, two guys I love, but they fall quite a bit behind Shea Whitcomb in my ownership today. So it's Whitcomb 1, Garcia 2, Stott 3. Polanco, Lux, Altuve, Holiday is kind of my next tier of guys. Really like all of them today. Outside of them, it's just guys only in stack, but a good 7 players I'm willing to one-off at that position. Maybe even add in like a Luis Garcia or Bryce Terang, make it 8 or 9, but surprisingly strong position up top with Whitcomb, my favorite, Garcia and Stott, my next guys.
All right. Sounds good. TJ, we're going to keep with you. Let's take it to third base.
I did forget to mention, but we reached over 100 likes, so Spidey Bomb number 3 is Tristan Cassis, like Will said, batting third, plus 575 today. That's too good for a guy like Cassis. So he's Spidey Bomb number 3. We got a fourth one at 125 likes. Keep smashing the like button. I know we're going to get there. The weekend crew is always so good at hitting the like button. We had over 20 likes today before the show even began. Jose Ramirez is my top guy at third base. I love Cleveland, and I'm getting to a ton of Jose Ramirez. He's my highest owned play here at the position. And then I'm also getting to, keep clicking the wrong tab. Michael Garcia here. Rafael Devers at third, I like quite a bit as well. Alec Bohm, Ramon Urias, Josh Rojas. These guys are all fine, but it's not as strong as a position as second, weirdly enough, or even catcher. And so I'm loading up on Jose Ramirez, Rafael Devers, and then a little bit of Garcia. But outside of that, it's only in stacks. For what it's worth, Roth lowered the risk in Philly.
Oh, that's gonna be exciting for Tim. Good news for Tim.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Third base does not seem to be like a super strong position. I absolutely love J-Ram and Devers. If Garcia is going to be the highest owned third baseman, then no thank you. I would just pivot to like Alec Bohm or, I guess like, I don't know, just paying up to like Ramirez or Devers as one-offs. I don't like Garcia as like, as chalk or like in cash games. Don't mind punting the position either with somebody like even a guy like Ernie Clement batting second against Imanaga at 3,200. I don't hate that. I don't mind somebody like even like Ramon Urias batting ninth. Like I don't mind like completely punting this position just because unless you pay all the way up, I don't really like these mid-range options. So I don't mind punting third base, which is very strange to say.
I mean, I get it. I still like Devers and Ramirez quite a bit all the way up top, but I do understand like they're soaking up almost 30% of the ownership at the position. Now, some guys are have multi-position eligibility. We understand that, but they're still soaking up a ton. So almost anyone you play outside of those top 3 is pretty much, going to be fine from an ownership standpoint. So Tim, love that call. Thank you. TJ, I think you started at third, didn't you? No.
Yeah,
you did. Okay. Tim, we'll keep with you. Let's go to shortstop.
So shortstop's absolutely loaded, like it often is. Really, you can't go wrong going with Bobby Witt. He's the top overall option at short, but there's other great shortstops as well. Obviously, Ellie De La Cruz, Gunnar Henderson, Trey Turner. I absolutely love today. He's probably going to be in my single entry team, not 100% yet, but probably going to go with Trey Turner. As part of your Houston stacks, Jeremy Pena is completely fine. I think Willie Adames is going to go extremely low owned and has multiple, home run upside. He's going to be 2%. So love that. Shortstop's just absolutely loaded. So, it's not a position to pay down unless you're going to get different with your Houston Stacks and playing Whitcomb at short.
Love that call, TJ. Over to you. Let me say this. As Tim closed it out, he mentioned about Whitcomb. What are your thoughts on Whitcomb in general? Clearly, I mean, he's batting fifth. You can play him at multiple positions. What's your overall thoughts between second base and shortstop? Because Tim, don't you think that might be a decision point today? Like, I mean, you can play him at both. I feel like more people may lean to second base than shortstop, but just trying to get some feelers out there.
He's going to be way higher owned at second. It's not even going to be close.
Yeah, those are my thoughts. TJ?
Yeah, same thing. And I'd way rather play him at second as well. I think you can play him at short if you build a lineup that just looks beautiful to you. And maybe you're playing Altuve at short or at second, so you want to play Whitcomb at short. But for the most part, I'm looking to spend up here. Bobby Witt, I think, is the top raw points option on the slate. Ellie De La Cruz, Gunnar Henderson, two fantastic options as well. Also, we're only 5 likes away from the next Spidey Bomb, so keep smashing that like button. Mookie Betts, CJ Abrams, Corey Seager, Trey Turner, Willie Adames, even O'Neal Cruz, I think, is a strong option today. So anybody who has eligibility elsewhere, I would probably want to play elsewhere. This is a wildly strong position today.
Sounds good. Let's take it to the outfield, TJ. Plenty of options here, up and down, cheap, middle, mid-range, upper tier. Talk to us. What are we doing?
Schwarber, I think, is the top outfielder on the slate. He's my highest owned outfielder and my highest owned bat today.
Music to Tim's ears. Music to Tim's ears.
Exactly. I wrote him up in the expert survey as my favorite one-off. Shohei Ohtani is my number 2 highest owned. After that, I'm going cheaper mid-tier guys. Nick Castellanos, Eloy Jimenez, Hunter Renfroe, Luke Raley. Then I got some other kind of more expensive mid-tier guys, Kowser, Wilyer Abreu, Jarren Duran in the expensive tier. But there's so many cheap options because I didn't even mention Victor Robles, Jake Myers, Will Brennan, Alex Call. Those are arguably the top 4 of the cheap options. So lots of really good cheapies at the outfield today with you guys like Julio Rodriguez or Kyle Schwarber, Shohei Ohtani up all the way to the top to top it out. But lots of really good mid-tier cheapies.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Tim, I know I said music to your ears. We clearly know you like the Phillies today. So TJ having a ton of Schwarber, I'm sure, interests you. And quite frankly, he's really not that high owned in comparison to tons of other expensive bats on the slate. So that's an even better proposition for us. Tim, outfield, what are we thinking?
Yeah, Schwarber is definitely my favorite outfielder. It's not even close. I do have to mention Julio Rodriguez, who's 2,900 on FanDuel, so super cheap over there. Don't mind him even on DK at 4,800. But Schwarber is by far my favorite. Like getting to that Phillies stack quite a bit, so I'm including guys like Nick Castellanos. I even like Brandon Marsh at 3.3. So love those Phillies. We haven't talked much about the Nationals. There are a couple guys that I like there, especially James Wood at 4,800. Really like that. The Nationals are really popping in Sims today. So I do think the Nationals are a little bit interesting. I don't mind guys like Hunter Renfroe who are cheap for their matchup at 3,500. Love those Royals quite a bit. So definitely Schwarber is my pay up. And then there's a ton of these guys like in the mid 3s that are extremely viable.
For sure. And I'm glad you mentioned, a guy like Renfroe because he's cheap. And Tim, so everybody kind of has their thing. I like low strikeout guys in good matchups that have a little bit of pop. That's just something I really like. And so, looking at Abbott over the season, Abbott's been giving up a lot more power to righties than lefties, like the whole year. This didn't just start like recently, the whole year, but over the past month, it's been a little bit worse. So definitely these righties, if they get a chance to get their barrel to the ball, you could see some fireworks here from Kansas City. All right. I think that's all the positions. We talked about the stacks. We are going to start taking questions. I typically like to start in the live stream chat just to make sure we cover those bases. I also know that Tim and TJ will typically answer questions in the YouTube chat along and along. So thank you guys. I'm going to start here. This one is coming from JIBZ. Favorite between Shota and Framber on FanDuel. Let's give that one to you, Tim. Shota, Framber on FanDuel. Who's going to be your favorite between those two?
Yeah, you can save 1,200 with Shota, so I would go Shota on FanDuel.
Okay. And it's weird because we kind of get the reverse of that on DraftKings. I know he didn't ask that, but on DraftKings, Shota's more than Framber, so kind of got a little play in the game there. This is coming from JMVP33, good friend of the show here. What's good, gents? FanDuel single entry stack today. TJ, FanDuel single entry stack. Who would you roll with?
Baltimore or Cleveland?
Okay, sounds good. And I will say I do like Josh Naylor. I got him at 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs today. I thought that was a really good prop for him in this spot against Ray because he didn't have to hit a home run. He get a single RBI, and we're in good shape. Moving on to the next one.
That's a good segue though, Will, because even though he doesn't have to hit a home run, he's gonna hit a home run because Josh Naylor is Spidey Bomb number 4. You can get him for plus 425. Josh Naylor, Spidey Bomb number 4. Let's get it up to 150 likes. I do have another Spidey Bomb for us. So let's get up for a 5th and final one at 150 likes. We're close.
Okay, sounds good. Tim, this is from NBA DFS, another good friend of the show. And this is a cash question here. De La Cruz and FanDuel cash. Let me be specific. This is FanDuel cash. De La Cruz and Renfroe or Turner and Myers. FanDuel cash. De La Cruz, Renfroe, or Turner, Myers.
They're both great. I'm going to lean with my two favorite teams to go Turner, Myers, but they're both really good. Yeah,
I mean, shortstop outfield combo there. Can't really go wrong, but I get it. And you should have known that NBA DFS. Our good friend Tim loves the Phillies today. Just mess with you, brother. All right, this is coming from Jay Brunton 13. TJ, this one's for you. What's your favorite game stat?
Probably Boston and Baltimore if I were to pick one. Or with number 2 being Philly and Washington. Number 3 being Kansas City and Cincinnati. Those are the 3 I would do it with.
Okay, and I'm going to backtrack here because we do have a little bit of time. I can't stress enough, folks, when Tim drops these little nuggets. Like, this was a sneaky nugget. I don't want to say sneaky, but this was a nugget. I don't want us to overlook it. Tim talked about the fact that Washington is popping in the Sims. And I think Washington's a good spot too. Folks, if you don't know, oh man, what's his name? Jeez. I was about to call him Jameson Taiwan. Taiwan Walker is on the mound, and he hasn't been great. He hasn't been great. So take heed when Tim mentions some of these sneaky Sims teams. They tend to work in our favor if you take a look at it. All right, here we go. This is also coming from JMVP. And this is, am I crazy for starting Male in FanDuel single entry?
No, he's fine. He's fine. At 7,400, you can pay up for all the bats that you want, pay up for all the Coors bats. So, yeah, I think that's okay.
Okay, sounds good. Here we go. This is coming from Blink 182 Rue TJ, large field DKGPP, 3,900 left for an outfielder. Thinking of using Brian De La Cruz, 2 for 6 with double and a homer against Kirby. What do you guys think would be the best play there? So TJ, 3,900 left in the outfield. DraftKings, large field. What do you think?
Renfroe would be my first choice, but if you want somebody lower owned, I would go with Victor Robles or Eloy Jimenez.
Okay, now watch this. This is going to trip you out here. I'm going to stay with you, TJ. This is coming from Gregorius the Wise. DK single entry, Renfroe, or Robles? Now, literally the very next question. You can't script it better than this.
Renfro, I like better for raw points, but if you have a chalky rest of your lineup and you need to get lower owned somewhere, then Robles is definitely the play. We're projecting him for 3% ownership versus Renfro's 13. I think they have similar ceilings today. Renfro's in a better spot, but Robles is not in that much worse of a spot for him to be 5 times lower owned. So straight up raw points, I like Renfro better. But if you're needing a spot to get different, it is definitely Robles.
Okay. And I think we're done with the live stream chat for now. I'm moving over, not live stream, excuse me. Yeah, the live stream Discord chat. I'm moving over to YouTube chat. I'm going to just kind of scroll back up here. It looks like because Tim and TJ, I know you guys have been answering some questions. So what I'm going to do, folks, if you don't mind, looks like the last question I saw Tim answer was to JD Eddie. He told him to play Kelly or pay down to Molly and add a better bat. So I'm going to start. Yep. And then looks like he added TJ and Tim. We're answering some more questions. So I'm going to start right here at She. If we don't get your question, just throw it back in the YouTube chat. I'm in the YouTube chat right now. Okay, here we go. DK single entry, 071, bottom of the order stack. Do you like it? TJ, Tim, excuse me. DK single entry, do you like basically a bottom of the order, full wraparound up to the one spot there for the Orioles?
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I think that's fine.
Okay, here we go. K-Town's finest 26. This is for you, TJ. No Woodford love versus a high strikeout Seattle team.
Nope.
Okay, here we go. This is from Angel Amaro. For FanDuel GPP, what pitcher would you play? I guess you're just playing one. TJ, what FanDuel pitcher would you play?
Because he's a lot cheaper over there, I would probably either go Imanaga or I would go Tyler Mahle. Mahle would probably be my favorite.
Okay, this one is coming from Alan S. Going to give this one to you, Tim, because I know this is a favorite game of yours. Abrams or Turner in a Washington Philly game stack. So I guess if you're loaded up on just that game, are you going Abrams or are you going Trey Turner?
Yeah, they're both really good. I'm leaning more on the Phillies, so I'm going Turner. But really, it's a coin flip.
Okay, I'm gonna keep this one with you also, Tim, because when we start hitting some of your favorite games here, I want to get your way in. This is from Derek Waters: Mahle and Gunnar Henderson, or Imanaga and Whitcomb. Because of the Whitcomb, I want to give that to you. So Mahle and Gunnar Henderson. So basically, I guess spinning down and spinning up at a bat, or spinning up at pitching and spinning down at a bat. Mahle, Gunnar, Imanaga, Whitcomb. What's your take there?
I'm assuming that's for a GPP, and so I like the Mahle Gunnar in a GPP, but like if you're playing cash, it's the Imanaga Whitcomb pairing.
Okay, all right. 4-Prong Digger says weather in Philly. I know TJ for sure dropped the link to Roth's weather report, but we did get an update from Roth, and as far as we know, we feel like it's improved. He lowered the risk to yellow. I will read this out for everyone that has concerns. I'm lowering the risk to yellow for just a chance of a delay. If a random pop-up fires over the stadium. Overall storm coverage, at least according to models, looks lower than what it was showing in the day. And if that holds, we should be able to get 9 in today, delay or not. So Roth has that down to yellow. This is coming from Rocket Sauce. Jake Myers, Homer, TJ. Do we have a sneaky Jake Myers Spidey bomb coming up? Or do you think he's going to homer in general?
I mean, maybe there's a chance. He hasn't been playing very well this season. He's in a good lineup spot, though. I'm not betting on him to homer. I like Yainer Diaz on that team better. But I mean, he's fine. We are only 5 likes away from the 5th and final Spidey bomb, though. So keep smashing that like button. I'm assuming as I talk, we're going to get 5 more people hitting it right there. And so we are sticking with the Cleveland Guardians today. And we got Jose Ramirez plus 450 as the 5th and final Spidey bomb today. So Gunnar Henderson, Yainer Diaz, Tristan Casas, Josh Naylor, Jose Ramirez, all at 425 or better, and they are the 5 Spidey bombs for the day. All
right, that sounds good. We're going to Brian Garcia here, and I'm going to give this one over to Tim. Hot topic here today. For DK single entry, is it okay to play the Phillies bottom of the line? So bottom of the order here for the Phillies.
Yeah, it's okay. I prefer the bottom of the Orioles lineup but I guess that's fine.
Okay, that sounds good. Looks like those are all the questions in YouTube. I'm going to go back to the live stream Discord chat. One more question here. Looks like from JMVP. FanDuel single entry, better one-off bet. Devers or De La Cruz, and he's specifying that he is stacking Philly. So he's stacking Philadelphia, and then he has a one-off, Devers or De La Cruz one-off. What would be your preference? I'm going to go to both of you. TJ, you first, then Tim.
De La Cruz.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably be Ellie.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. I do think Delhi has more ways to get there.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
In terms of upside, like he could get a walk in and steal a base, come home, then hit a. He's just got more ways to rack up a lot of points. Where Devers, now I will say this, I do feel like, and I could be wrong, and I don't know if there's a way to quantify this. I guess we could look at running scoring position to see how often he drives them home. But I do feel like if guys are on, man, Devers does try to make a conscious effort to bring those bats around the plate and maybe not try to just hit the home run ball, but make good contact and drive them in. But I don't have that in front of me. But all in all, De La Cruz definitely has more ability to get multiple fantasy points in different facets of the game. This is coming from Four Prong Digger. This is more of a comment, but kind of a question. But now I get what you said. I like Francis today. Can I like him too much? TJ, that's your team. Let's talk about it.
I don't think you can. I have 40% of them. So unless you got more than that, I think you're good.
Okay. Guys, we are, at least according to my time clock, we are 2 minutes from lock. I think this has been a fantastic show. Tim, it's been such a pleasure, man, to just be on a show with you. We haven't been able to pull one of these off in a while. So it was a TWT Sunday. Glad you came and hung out with us, folks. TJ, good to see you. I think we'll be seeing a lot more of each other.
I do want to answer one question for Jimmy James in chat, because he asked, what's the oldest comic you have? I believe it's this one here. I'm trying to figure out when it came out specifically. But I believe it's this one right here. If you've seen The Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield, this is the comic that it's based off of. After the Green Goblin kills Gwen Stacy and Spider-Man goes a little berserk. I believe this is the oldest one that I have.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Folks, we're a minute from lock. I don't have any more questions. I'm Chief. That's TJ. That's Tim. Let me rephrase that. It's TWT. That's Tim. I'm Will. That's TJ. Folks, hopefully you get a few more of these TWTs before we close out the baseball season. If not, you might see it during football season. We love you guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here next week.